Alright, everybody, so I asked you a couple weeks ago if you wanted me to do a questions and answer video. Well, here it is, 2 weeks later. I'm getting around to it. Turkey season's closed for me. I already tagged out, so I can do these videos now. It's early in the morning here where I live. No one's awake, so I can hopefully get this video done. So, I told you to ask me some questions about hunting or anything on the channel, like about me, and I'll answer them. So I didn't get many questions, I only got 3. So bear with me, not good with names. Good at pronouncing them, not really. So first one was from Ben Roraf 8400. So do you do any fishing videos or coyote hunting videos so far with turkey season coming to an end? Well, when he wrote this 2 weeks ago, our turkey season starts in May. May 1st goes to the 31st, and here you can only hunt till noon. So our season was just starting. So I do fishing. I don't do it a lot anymore. The reason for that is my kids like to fish. I have 4 children, and they like to fish, so I spend more time getting the poles set up for them and tossing back and forth. I do need to start teaching them how to cast themselves so I can go actually back out and fish. But I like fly fishing when I go. I do some spin fishing, but fly fishing is what I like to do. I used to tie flies years ago. I haven't done it in a long time, but I still do it every now and then. I'll get bored and I'll pull it out and tie some flies. As for coyote hunting, I do coyote hunting. A lot of the time, it's like probably like a lot of people, they don't just go out to hunt coyote. I do it mainly if I'm out deer hunting. And in our state now, they're trying to, it's pathetic, they're trying to basically protect the coyotes. And it's getting very annoying because people don't really know what a coyote can do, especially in our state. They, say we have a huge deer population when we don't. Well, I think we honestly have more turkeys than we do deer. And it seems like that. It feels like that. But I do coyote hunting. I used to go every now and then, years ago with a friend of mine. We'd go in the middle of the night. But the thing is, here you can't hunt them with a light. You can only hunt them over moonlight. And it would be better full moon, clear night, obviously with snow on the ground, and you could see them for hundreds of yards out. But yeah, I do coyote hunting. In fishing, I should try to do a little more fishing videos for you guys as well. So this next one was Ricky Crazy Hunter 8530. I followed your stock build and barrel regulation videos on the Bi-Cal double rifle. How did you decide on the final stock design? And would you do a project like this again? Yeah, I would do another project like this again. I love working on guns. I love gunsmithing. So I bought that gun. Actually, let me start from the beginning. I bought a Bi-Cal double rifle probably like 10 years ago. Excuse me. When you could get them. Now you can't find them anywhere. And it seems like everybody wants them now. I bought one and I shot it and I couldn't hit anything with it. Like I was shooting at 40 yards and the barrels wouldn't regulate. I tried using the jack screw. I tried a bunch of different loads for the gun. And I was getting very, very frustrated with it. And I contacted a gunsmith, and he says, yeah, we can pull it apart and we can rebuild it. It's going to cost you about like $5,000 for all the work. And I said, nope, not doing that. So I then turned around and sold it. I brought it to the gun shop that I bought it from, and I traded it in, and I think I bought a custom bolt rifle. And I went on from there. I didn't care. So a couple years pass, and they were starting to get scarce, the gun. And I was like, man, I want a double rifle, and I love double rifles. Anybody who knows me knows I'm obsessed with double rifles because they're unique, um, and I just think they're pretty wild. Um, so I got a hold of one. I went back to the gun shop, and I got a hold of one, and I was like, I'm not going to let this one go. So I still had all the ammo from my previous double rifle, and I was like, well, I've got to get this thing to shoot. So I was like, maybe this one will shoot. Did the same thing, 40 yards, 50 yards at the max. Couldn't get the thing to shoot. 1 foot, yeah, it was about 1 feet apart. The barrels were shooting. I tried the jack screw. I tried all the different loads, different shims. I was trying to put like shims inside the right barrel because the left barrel was fixed and the right barrel would move. I couldn't get the thing to hit. So I said, all right, fine. I decided I was going to knock the pins out of the monoblock in the front, or the front sight. Knock the pins out to get it closer. Still wouldn't get close. So the jack screw, because the ribs would come apart, I took the jack screw apart. I cut the screw, and then I heated up the screw itself, and it just fell off. It was soldered on. I was like, yep, I'm taking this apart. That's when the barrels went from here. They flared out, and then they went doing. They brought right in. So then I got some ribs for it. They're like flat steel, and then I decided to start making some ribs for it, and then I built a wedge system for the front, made my own front sight, and there we are now. So the stock design, I wasn't really big on it. The stock was short, but the grip was really long, swoop back really long. I didn't like that, and it didn't feel comfortable. My hand was sliding on the stock more, and I couldn't get a good grip. And I was like, this has got to go. So I talked to my wife, and I was like, I want to buy a nice block of Clara walnut for this gun, and I want to build a stock. So I went on eBay, and I was looking around, couldn't find anything. So then I went through Cecil Furty in Nevada, and I bought a stock from him, a blank, and then I built the stock from there, as you've seen in the other videos. The design of it, like I said, if any of you know me, I'm a huge double rifle fan, and my favorite company is Wesley Richards. I've always liked Wesley Richards. They're just beautiful guns. Everything they make is artwork. It just fabulous firearms. I went with the Shadowline cheek piece. I decided the drop of the stock and to get my face to line up with the sights itself. And that's when I went from there. The grip, I kind of put a palm swell on the right hand side of the pistol grip because it's comfortable. I know Browning did that for a while with a lot of their guns. They put a palm swell on their gun, and so you would have that. Your hand would feel comfortable. I kind of did that with mine. And there was a while I was like reshaping that stock. The cheek piece I didn't have right. It just kind of molded over instead of being cut at an angle. So I must have messed with it after I finished it, and then I refinished it, and then I finished it again, and refinished it, and I was just not happy. And then finally, once I got it set, I was set up on that. I went with the Shadowline cheek piece because it's elegant. It's nice. It makes it look like a classy double rifle. The checkering pattern I did, it was 22 lines per inch on the stock, and I did a mullered border along the pistol grip and then along the forend. It's like an English style. Reason why I did that, like I said, I love Wesley Richard guns. The reason why I like them is when they build them right the first time. You don't hear about Hanlon, Wesley Richards, John Rigby, um, James Purdy, all those guns. You don't ever hear about recalls coming back on those guns because they build them right the first time. You get all these American manufacturers, not bashing all American manufacturers, but when they build them at high demand and, on machines, you tend to have screw ups. And then you have trigger recalls, you have mistakes made, and then sometimes guns don't feed. So that's why I like British guns. Yeah. So this one is from Brian Miller, 5446. Well, Brian Miller, I know this guy really well. He was my neighbor for 7 years. Yeah. So he asked me, what is your favorite type of rifle to hunt with? Favorite caliber for deer, and what type of action do you prefer? He's got a bunch of others, so we'll go through them all. So what is my favorite type of rifle to hunt with? Well, my favorite type of deer rifle is a Remington Model 7600 pump action and 270. Why do I like the 270? 270 is a versatile round. It's been around since the early 50s. I think it was like 1952 when they designed it off the 30-06. Jack O'Connor shot it. He shot that caliber. He loved that caliber. I shoot 130 grain SSTs out of my gun, Hornadies, and they just work good. I've never had a problem with that gun functioning, never had a problem with that gun shooting, and it's very accurate. I've sighted my gun in before out to 425 yards and then, shoot inward. Will I shoot that far? Probably not, but I want to see what it can do. I want to reach out there and touch something with it. But and I'm not bashing cartridges. A lot of people will be like, well, why don't you like the 30-06? I've never been a fan of the .6. Yeah, it's been around since 1906. Everyone has one. And growing up, I remember my uncle would come back and tell me, oh, I shot a deer and I couldn't find it. And then it was this story like a week later, and then a week later, oh, I just can't find it. Well, I was like, Yacht 6 is terrible then. And then I realized it's not the gun, it's the person behind the trigger. So for a while I was bashing the Yacht 6, but then I realized after I got older, I was like, it really wasn't the gun or the cartridge, it was the person behind it. So the Yacht 6 is a great cartridge. It's been around for a long time, military cartridge. So I'm not bashing that. My favorite cartridges, I've got a lot of them. My favorite big game cartridge is the 375 H&H. Probably my favorite deer rifle cartridge is the 270, but I have a 350 mag. I used to have a 358 Winchester and a BLR, which was a great cartridge. I shot my first 8-pointer with that, and the problem is the ammo is so hard to find for that gun. That's why I had to get rid of it. It was just becoming crazy, and I wasn't into reloading at the time. And 270 was like $15 a box. My 358 was like $50 a box. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore with a 358. So I gave all my ammo, what I had left, and empties to a friend of mine's father because he has a 358. He's hunted with 358 since like 1985. So anyway. Getting back to the question, so Brian asked, what turkey loads work best? What distance do you pattern your gun at, and favorite choke style? Well, my gun I've been hunting with since 1997. I didn't start turkey hunting until 2005, and it was a True Glow turkey choke, and a very good friend of mine named Gary got me in turkey hunting. He says, once you go once, you're never going to want to stop. I was like, yeah, okay. So I went, and I got hooked. I didn't get a turkey. I didn't shoot my first turkey until 2008. I shot my first turkey with a bow, and it was in the fall. So I was pretty happy about that. What turkey loads work best? Well, my 12 gauge likes 3-inch shells, 2-ounce load, and a number 5, 6, and 7 shot. That is, I'm shooting a Remington 11E7 with 28-inch barrel with a Primo's Jellyhead turkey choke. I must have shot 12 to 15 different types of turkey loads before I got this load, specific. I did shoot the Federal Flight Controls years ago. You could buy a box of 10 for like $15, and it was a 3-inch shell, 2-ounce load with number 5 shot. Federal stopped making that. So then I was like, well, let me try this heavy shot blend. For the time it was like $30 for 5 rounds, and actually Gary bought like 3 or 4 boxes. He's like, oh, I'm gonna try these. And we went to pattern our guns, and I was like, I knew where my gun was shooting, and I was like, well, let me try out to 60. I never shot 60, and I know it's kind of wild. With the new TSS loads, you can shoot 60, 70 yards with number 9s. So this 5, 6, and 7 shot blend, I was like, I'm going to shoot at 60. And we had one of those shoot and see targets, and I shot. And it looked like the whole target lit up lime green. I was like, what the heck is that? And I walked down there, and that whole pattern at that target at 60 yards was like this. I couldn't even see the turkey's head. So it was pretty crazy. Like I said, it's early in the morning and I'm drinking coffee. So, if you're going to pattern your gun, especially a lot of guys are now shooting red dots, start out at 10 to 15 yards. Shoot target loads, like a light target load. They're cheap, just to see where you're getting your pattern. You're going to see a dense spot of your pattern, like a hole forming. And then you move your red dot to that hole, and then you move the target out like 10 yards or something, go 10-yard increments, and then you keep adjusting it from there. You shoot 2 or 3 shots at a new target each time. Because once you see that, the dense part of the pattern where there's like a hole forming, that's where you want to aim, and you want to keep moving the dot, to that spot. And you keep moving out, and then you can start getting it to shoot. And shooting light target loads is going to be the same, just to get the dense pattern there, and then you can load a turkey load in and then shoot from there. My gun, like I said, shoots the heavy shot blend, Magnum blend, 3-ounce load, 3-inch shell, 2-ounce load, 5, 6, and 7 shot. What distance is best, or do you pattern your gun at? Well, I haven't patterned my gun since I first shot the heavy shot. That must be like right after it came out, like 8 years ago, maybe longer. 9 years ago. Yeah, it was like 9 years ago when the heavy shot blend came out. Because I haven't changed from it. And it's a box of 5, and now what I do is I buy 1 box each year. And I bought a box last year, and I shot 2 turkeys last year, each one with 1 shot, and then this year I shot 2 turkeys with 1 shot, so now I'm down to 1 round. So this year I'm going to buy another box for next year. And what I do is I load 1 of my heavy shot rounds. This is an old empty one. This is an old heavy shot round. I load 1 of these in the gun, and then I load an old turkey load behind it, and then if I can't handle the first one, chances are I'm not probably going to handle the second one, but I have a older one behind it just so I don't blow through the expensive rounds. That's how I do it. You guys don't have to do that. So yeah, and what's my favorite choke style? Well, if I'm turkey hunting, I'm using a turkey choke. If I'm going to go duck and goose hunting, I'm going to use a modified or improved. Pheasant hunting, I like to use a improved cylinder with number 5 prairie loads, just because, like 5s or 6s, typically because if you're walking in a field, cornfield or like milo field or whatever it is, if you're walking through those fields, pheasants wait until you get right on top of them. They're going to wait until you get right there, and then they're going to pop up. You're shooting a full choke, you hit the bird with it, you're not going to have anything left. I use an improved cylinder just because the pattern's going to open up. If I'm going to swing that gun quick, and it's going to open up fast on the bird. So I use an improved cylinder for pheasants. If I'm going for ducks and geese, I'm going to use a modified, because steel, most of the stuff you're using now is steel or tungsten. Steel and tungsten does not compress like lead. So if you're using, and a lot of these chokes are set up for tungsten, but if you're using a full choke with steel and it's not rated for steel, you're going to bulge your barrel. You might put a hairline split in the barrel. Or years ago, I had a coworker named Ben. He had a Stoger shotgun, and he went to shoot ducks, and he couldn't get his choke tube out. Well, he shot steel out of it, and it bulged the barrel. You could see it like open up and then come back down. We couldn't get that choke out of that gun to save our lives. I was like, Ben, you shot a full choke with steel shot, and he ruined the barrel. So he had to contact Stoger or Beretta, because Beretta owns Stoger. And they were like, yep, we can get you a new barrel. It's going to cost you like $300. And he was like, next time I'm just going to put a different choke in. I said, yep, probably should have done that. Hey, you win some, you lose some. He learned something from that. So the other question Brian had, what advice do you give for someone who is getting started with turkey hunting and any kind of hunting? Well, if you're going to start out turkey hunting, I recommend the first year you go, don't get a decoy. I like to hunt turkeys a lot in the woods. I have decoys, but I usually only use it for youth weekend. As you probably saw in the youth hunting video. So, don't get any decoys. If you're going to go, get if you've got a 12 gauge shotgun, you don't have an extra full choke, and you have a full choke, try that. Limit your range to like 35, 40 yards. A full choke will shoot out to 45, 50 yards, depending on the load. Just got to pattern it. Get a box call. Box calls are easy to use. Use a wet, it's called Frictionite. It's a wet call. You can use it in the rain. And some of these calls now, slate calls or crystal calls, you can use in the rain as well. And I always put them in like a plastic bag if it starts raining, if you're going to go out, just to keep the call dry. Because if it gets wet, it's going to be hard to call with. From there, get a good pair of like rain gear for turkey hunting or deer hunting. If you're going to be out there for a long time, you want to wait out the storm, get a blind if you're going to bow hunt. Doesn't need to be an expensive blind. I still hunt out of the same blind I bought in 2004. It's a little wigwam blind by Hunter's View. Still hunt out of it, and it works good. So yeah, that stuff. And deer hunting, yeah, you want to get yourself a good, pair of rain gear. Or if you're going to start archery hunting for deer, I recommend if you're going to hunt a tree stand, get a harness. Definitely get a harness. Don't be crazy and climb up there. Last year, I fell between 8 and 12 feet. I fractured my T11 vertebrae. It was such a small fracture, but I was laid up for 12 weeks, couldn't go to work, sat in a chair for 12 weeks, and I can tell you this, I hated it. I like to be moving around. I like to be doing stuff. I was going crazy. So I bought a saddle harness, and that's how I'm going to hunt now. I'm going to hunt out of a saddle, but I'm also going to buy a small platform for it. And my buddy Ryan, very good friend of mine, he hunts out of one. I used to bash those things for years, and I was like, oh, they're so stupid. Well, I was wrong. They're comfortable. You don't have to have this huge harness on you, walking around, feel like you've got extra weight. It just hooks on around your waist. I'm going to start hunting no more than 10 feet. my platform will be at 10 feet. You just need to get out of the line of sight of the deer. That's how I feel. And you know, Ryan told me, he's like, you got to just have your rope. I'm gonna have two. I don't care. Would rather have two ropes hooked up so I know I'm safe. Call me paranoid, but after falling and fracturing your back, my back still aches every now and then. I don't want to have that happen again. So those are some, you know, answers I got for you guys. You know, if you're wondering how I got into hunting, you know, I got into hunting when I was 14, 14, something like that. Back in 1997, I started hunting, and it was due to my mother's ex-boyfriend, Dan. Guy was an awesome person, you know. He was a really nice guy. He's the one that bought me my first shotgun, and I have to thank him, because without him, I wouldn't have had hunting. I don't think I would have gotten into it. He got me into archery hunting. He got me into deer hunting, and I kind of excelled in it in my own way. And then I got into like doing gunsmithing and stuff. But I really do miss that guy, because him and I could talk hunting and fishing, and he took me fishing a lot. But yeah, I have to thank him for it, because he got me into it. So, yeah. But any other questions you guys have for me, shoot me an email, or shoot me another questions and comments, answers, and then I can do another video later. But these are the three that I got, and that I'm answering for you now, and we'll go from there. So I've got more videos coming up. I'm going to be working more on the Model 70 now that turkey season's over. And I'm going to be working on, if you can see right here, I've got the archery shop stuff getting set up. And I'm going to be doing high FOC arrow build on my new arrows. And what else am I going to be doing? Oh, I've been painting. A lot of people are wondering why I'm painting. Well, when I was younger, I used to love painting. And I used to love spray painting. And everyone's like, oh, you're stealing ideas from other people. Tell me one person that only does this painting on YouTube. Tell me the one person that only does it. I can't think of it. The reason why I do these paintings are, I've been trying different things, is because I like to paint. And the planets I've been painting, the solar system, my Uncle Mike worked for NASA for 40 years. The man got up and went to work every day. He loved work. And he just never thought it was a job. And I kind of like been doing those for him, because he's such a cool guy. You know, he's in his 70s now, and work for him, it wasn't work. It wasn't. And it's actually cool, because he worked for NASA, like I said, for 40 years, Johnson Space Center in Texas. He was awarded a Silver Snoopy Award, which this is a high award from the shuttle launch. One of the last shuttle launches was STS-127. Chris Cassidy, who's an astronaut who had 376 days in space, I believe, he awarded my Uncle Mike with the award. Now, the Silver Snoopy Award, if you don't know what it is, it's a small, pure silver pin. It's like tiny. And the astronauts, one of the astronauts will wear it into space. It goes into space, and then when it comes back, you have to meet the criteria in order to get this award. And there's like 50 things on this list that you just have to get one. And I looked it up. He had like 49 of the 50 things to get this award. And they gave him the award. And he was so ecstatic about it, because this is a high honor. And it's pretty wild. I'm going to see if I can do another video. I'm going to see if my Aunt Jenny can send me some pictures of my Uncle Mike with it and him holding his award. Because it's, like I said, it's a high honor from NASA. He loved his job, and you know, he worked with these astronauts, Peggy Whitson, Doug Hurley, Bob Behnken, um, and then you know Chris Cassidy. He worked with all these guys for a long time. He watched all these people come through as the program was getting big. So yeah. Anyway, that's going to be a wrap. I'm going to finish drinking my coffee before my kids wake up, and I got to bring one of my kids to school today, and I got to do school with one of my kids. So, again, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any other questions or comments, put in the community page, and we'll see you guys on the next one. So, have a good one. Yeah, it looks like rain again.